Hello everyone and welcome back. So we're in Nuke now and I have the three passes rendered. I'm gonna drag and drop them. And this is the fire with the smoke. This is the main RBD sim and this is the illumination. Now I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna say A over B. I'm gonna add the fire illumination as a plus mode. So this is just the illumination from the fire onto the geometry added, okay? And then we're going to overlay using an over mode the smoke and the fire. And let's see. So here you see the geometry has, the smoke is casting a lot of shadow. So that's why it's dark there. And then with the smoke coming on top, you can see that it's occluding all of this. I think the debris is not, no, it is there. Okay. Okay, so this is an overlay of all the elements and we can see the smoke here. Now the brightness is very low for the smoke, so I'm gonna gain it up so it's more visible. And this is the first pass. Now with those lights, what I was meaning to do is to recomposite and do a quick relighting in here to try and get some ideas of what I can pursue with this. So what I have a script here that shuffles the AUVs that we've done. So I'm gonna press that, and these are all the AUVs that's stored within this render. And if you guys remember, we did the sky, we did the light 1, light 2. I'll put them like this. So we'll start with light 1. And let's put a dot. Like that. So this is the first one. And then we have light 3. And let's move this down. And let's connect this here. Okay. And the last one is light 4. Okay, so we have other AUVs. I'm not gonna worry about them for now. I just need these ones. And the first one is the environment light. I think it's very strong and very saturated. So I'm gonna put down a C, a color correct node, desaturate this, and gain it down. Then we have this light, so let's gain this one up. Okay, so this one looks interesting. I like the shadowing, I like the orientation of this light. I'm gonna put down a merge node, and I'm gonna use a plus mode to add this one in. So that's an orange light from the left. And this is with the environment light. I think the debris is quite bright, but for now it's fine. So the second light, let's see what we have. So the second light, it looks like it's not illuminating a decent amount. Yeah, I think it's oriented in the wrong direction. So I'm gonna skip this. I'm not gonna use it for now. And this one is cool. So let's gain this up. 4G times, and let's put down a merge node and merge it with the existing one, and let's use a plus mode. And now we're getting this nice rim light from the right. And to balance this, you see, for example, just looking at this, I feel that I should have this light brighter and maybe more saturated. So I'm going to put down a C for color correction, and then this one I'm gonna put down a hue shift and shift it more towards the orange. Okay, so something like this, and I'm gonna gain it up, and let's multiply it with even more saturated tone like this. I'm going to use a grade node again, and just do a gamma on it and reduce it. just to have a hint on this side. Okay, so what do we have? We have another light. Let's multiply this by 100. This is very cool. So let's put down a merge node and add this, and we need to, once we add it, we will see that we have to balance other things. So if we merge this one, we get this frontal light, and I'm gonna hue shift it. I think it's very saturated, something like that. And we need to balance everything else. So it feels very green now. And that's desaturated. Let's put down a grade node. And multiply it with the color that we want. And right now the intensity is very strong. I want to make this more localized. So I'm going to put down a grade node, grade it down like this, and then gain it up. Grade it down and then gain it up. And the saturation is very strong, so I'm going to desaturate it like that, and then put down a hue shift to shift it back to an orange tint. And now we have a completely different lighting scenario, and this is what I'm trying to achieve. Now we started with this, which is quite messy, and now we have this look. What we can do with this now is we can go back in Houdini and say, okay, I have this light one, it needs to look like this in the render. So we just change the color and gain it up to get the look that we want. And the other thing that we could do is we can quickly iterate over this. So for example, we are happy with this light. Okay, I can come here and say, okay, so we have that version. I'm gonna work on it and do an alternative. So let's say we want to simulate a moon, for example. I'm gonna hue shift these. I'm gonna desaturate the environment. And let's see, I'm gonna desaturate this one completely. So let's gain it up. Something like that. And then which one is this? And then this one. So this one I am going to desaturate it and gain it even more. Something like that. Because in the moon you generally have very dark shadows and then a super bright white, but in this case it still has saturation, so I'm gonna desaturate that just a tiny bit. And let's see, and then we have this light. So let's say, for example, there is a very bright source on the moon and it's emitting something like this, and then this already is a different lighting, you know, that we could use. Okay, so we did this on the main RBD, but what about the rest? What about the smoke? So we have to work again and balance things. So I'm gonna use this lighting because I like it. I'm gonna merge the illumination. And this is where I said that we have to explore. There's no magic formula for all of this. I'm gonna increase the temperature or the illumination of the fire. And if we want this to be the center of the focus, we need to balance it with the rest. So I'm gonna tune everything else down. If we want the fire to be very visible, we have to tune it down. Okay, so that's our fire, and this is with everything. And then I'm gonna copy this and paste it here, and we need to apply the same thing for the smoke. So this is our smoke pass, and because we have the same AUVs, we're gonna get the same thing. Okay, so this is our environment, and the only issue is, the only difference we see is because the smoke is generally darker. Because the smoke here is generally darker, everything else is going to be dark. So we're not gonna see we're not going to see the data that we want. So what I end up doing is, I'm going to delete. So what I end up doing is I need to gain the smoke itself. And now when I combine it with the environment, it's going to look correct. So that's our smoke tweaked with the new lighting. Okay, it has gone through the same treatment, and this is my smoke element. But what happened now is, because we did that AUV shuffles, we lost the alpha channels on both sides. So here, we still have it here, but you see the value is higher than 1. So what I'm going to do is put down a shuffle copy, and then we need to find the original source, which is this EXR here. And now our alpha channel is restored. See, it's 1. We're going to do the same thing here. Shuffle copy. Shuffle the alpha again. And it is back. And now we have the smoke over. Now with the smoke pass, we've lost the fire. And because we did this, and the reason for that is the fire is in a separate AUV. So let's put down a shuffle node, and let's extract the the emission. And I think there is one knob that I didn't turn on in the final render. So I was hoping to see indirect illumination. So volume indirect, yes. Okay, so I have everything I need. So I'm gonna move this down. And before I merge it here, this is my smoke element. Let's look at the RGB and let's gain it. And again, we can still, we'll go back to this in a bit. We can still work on the smoke. So we need to add the fire. Plus mode. That's our fire. And then we need to add the illumination of the fire onto the smoke as well, which is here. So I'm going to use a plus mode. I'm going to gain this because we gained the illumination quite a bit. This needs to be intense as well. So let's gain down the smoke, something like that. But what we can do is, instead of leaving the smoke following the same rules, we can still work on it. We can do changes to the smoke only. So I'm going to set this to 40 and tweak the AUVs, the light AUVs per component. So the smoke is going to have a different treatment. Let's try this. And this we're going to leave at 1. Let's try this. So this is an addition, and then we can change this as well. So I'm going to desaturate or find out where that light, the blue light, is coming from. It's come from here. So I'm going to desaturate this. Or let's try give it an orange tint, because it's glowing, everything is burning with the fire, so maybe an orange tint would work better in this. I don't know. Yeah, it did. So that's an initial comp for all the elements. Don't like the orange. It's fine. Yeah, too much yellow, something like that. So this is one test, and I'm still not happy with the result. So, but this is a great starting point. I have all my elements. I have my render going. I have the illumination of the fire onto the geometry. I know how I'm going to separate the passes. I'm in a much better state than before. And this is what I want you guys to start doing. I want you to get everything you have, put it together, render the various elements, and then do some tweaks. With this workflow, it doesn't matter which software you use. You can do this in even After Effects, I believe. And as long as you can iterate over the various elements, it will help you to quickly prototype ideas. Okay, and what we can do, for example, let's say, okay, I don't like all of this. I'm gonna go for something magical. I'm gonna put down a hue shift shift the fire to have a completely different range, and then the entire and apply the same thing to the environment as well. So this is a blue version. Maybe this works better. Maybe this fire, you know, is what you want, or maybe we want to create something that has more fell like energy, so we shift everything towards green, something like this. And this gives you the freedom to explore all these ideas. If there's any issues, you can see them. And the trick is, in Houdini, you place lights, you don't care too much as long as they are rendered. You export that, you break down the passes in a way that will allow you to work on this, and then you do it. You get a setup going like this, and then we can explore adding various things. So for example, let's say we're happy with this. I'm gonna add some glows to this. So exponential glow, and maybe we can make one like this, and then another one like this, which is much bigger in terms of scale, something like this, but lower the magnitude to 0.1, just to have an overall haze. We don't have the ground, obviously, so that's a big element. And then we can add a sharpen, set the scale, the value of 1, and then we can add some chroma or aberration. Let's put down a chroma node, and this is going to shift the red, green, and blue. You can see the edges here, just to get, you know, try things and see how it would look like. We can add some grain, apply it through alpha, turn it off, and then let's use a preset where it's very small, something like this. And then lower the intensity. So this is a quick test with, you know, with final comp treatment, and I think it's gonna work. You know, looking at this with just a quick test that we did, I think it's going to work. The only thing that I would still like to see is some glows from the fire, or more illumination from the fire, and that's quickly, we can explore that. Let's go back here. We have our fire. Okay, I'm gonna gain it even more. As simple as that. So this is the fire, and because it's very broad, what I want to do is I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna clamp it. Okay, and this will make sure that it doesn't go above 1, and then I'm gonna gain it, or grade it up, and then I'm gonna gain it down and add this on top. So let's try. See, it's giving us that fake indirect illumination across the board. See, this area is very visible. You know, just a nice lift. And then we need to tweak the glows again, but I think it's working. Maybe the environment is very bright still. So let's go back here and let's reduce the intensity of the environment and let the, you know, let the fire do its thing and be the center of the focus of everything. We can try, for example, multiplying the environment with various tones. So we can make it blue, we can make it orange, like that, and just see how it works. Okay, so that's a quick test, and I think it's great to get things going. So what I do is I have this quick test, quick settings. I submit a render and come back the next day, and I have all the passes. Again, it doesn't have to be high res. I think this took like 4 minutes for the 3 passes to finish. So just let it run overnight. You have 50 frames or 60 frames, and you can start comping. But we're not final yet. We haven't decided in what we're going to do. We're just trying to explore ideas. And this is something that is unique on your scene. I don't have an answer. It's just what you see. When you see something, you pursue that, or you come up with ideas that you explore, and then they work visually. They give you sense. They give you something meaningful visually. Now, for me, the main thing that I need to see in this is these cracks. Like it does not make sense for me that all this fire is coming off of this and there is no cracks. You know, it's not burning. So that's something I'm going to explore. I'm going to implement that and find a way to implement, because it's a visual I think is needed and I need to implement it. Doesn't matter how. So that's something you can, maybe you can find something similar to this as well in your scene, where you see something missing, say, okay, I need to develop a system for, I don't know, making glowy interiors or making rounded edges, or if a piece falls, gets too far away, it becomes really dark. You know, it's magma because it was super hot, something like that. So whatever you come up with, try to explore those ideas. This is the phase where you iterate over things. Now, the other thing is, at this point, this is probably the first time we're going to see everything in context. And it's a great state or a great phase to render out all the elements. So you're going to get that from this. You also can iterate over various things. If you didn't like the smoke, the way it feels or the way it behaves, then you go back and tweak it based on the main context. If you didn't like the fire scale, even with the tweaks that you did in the scene, you still have to see it in context. You know, you didn't like how much it glows, or you didn't like where it's coming from. I don't know, you just need to fix stuff. So this is where you see all those things together, and then you go back and iterate over the elements. For me, I feel the debris is too bright, too much, too present. I want to reduce some of that, you know, so that you go back and then reduce the number of RBD pieces, or just delete them in the final render scene using a random points, delete 50% every frame, and then done. So stuff like that. This is the phase where you grab all the elements, you render them, and then you start exploring the visual, and then from there you have an idea, okay, this is what I need to do, and then you continue exploring that, which we're going to be doing in the next weeks. So the next week we're going to look at adding the sparks and build the system for that will sim them efficiently. And then if you want to add also dust inside the smoke or sparks, you are more than welcome to use that PTS node that I gave last week with the smoke sim. So if you want to add, you know, dust falling inside or particle inside the sim, you are more than welcome to do that. Maybe it's something you want to explore. And then we'll once we have that, we're going to start building the final scene, the final comp, and show you how everything is done and how I came to create this. And that's it really. I wish you the best of luck, and I hope you found this week useful, and see you soon. Bye bye.